Body Temple Stewardship, the 7 restoration overview, gives so much capacity for individuals to restore their body to God's original design so that it can completely heal and you can feel the wellness that you were designed to feel. First, a little teeny introduction on how Body Temple Stewardship came to be. I, Fred Davies, actually started with a nutritional and herbal foundation. I had read over 600 books on natural wellness. I took a class when I was 17 years old on herbal and natural childbirth. I studied all of Dr. Christopher's writings and herb books and so forth because I had so many things I was trying to solve on myself. And once I started getting complete success with herbal and so forth, I was sharing with other people for roughly 25 years before the Body Temple Stewardship process came about. And I got a master's in herbal studies, and with all the anatomy and physiology training. And with that, over those 25 years, I actually saw wonderful results, even miraculous results, outcomes with individuals. One I'll mention, a man that had been paralyzed for 15 years. Within 5 weeks, he was completely functional in the area that had been paralyzed. Others with kidneys shut down, completely functional within just a few weeks. So what I'm saying is the herbal and nutritional things that we need to learn do work. God has given us a lot of information on herbal and nutritional. When I decided, can I say, to acknowledge more clearly God in that design and needing God's help to restore the body to wellness, in about 2013, about 13 years ago, I made a decision to pray with clients, which was kind of a leap for me because typically my faith is very, very private. I don't want it to be out there and I don't want to push God on other people, but God's the designer of this body. And I just decided if they really want my help and we want to do things the way God designed it, we needed to pray together and discover by God leading us through it what was perfect for that individual, because we're not all the same. We don't do things the same. We don't absorb things the same. We don't have the same challenges or things. So we need to have God's guidance. Well, very soon after starting praying with clients, God provided some people who couldn't solve all their challenges with herbs and nutrition. And I couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. And we were praying together, and I was praying diligently to know how to help them and how to support them in the process of restoring their body to wellness. And one morning, I remember waking up so clearly as I was continuing to pray with total clarity of how we restore light, which I later realized was the light of Christ, to all parts of the body. It came to me as a picture, almost as easy as just flipping a breaker back on in the electrical panel, but done differently because we're children of God. And I'll introduce that concept in just a moment. I tried the concepts that were revealed on myself, on my family and loved ones, and on clients, and found methodology that worked consistently on turning on the lights, which meant the body started healing very, very rapidly in those areas that we hadn't been able to identify how to help it heal in the past. Just some averages. After working with a number of clients, probably for the next 5 or 6 years, I noticed that for most adults, we have about 30 to 40% of our body functions that are off, that don't have light getting to them, which means they're not repairing properly. They may still be working minimally, but they're not repairing properly, not working at full function. And with the light of Christ getting to every area, glands, organs, body systems that had been off are now on, and now they're working and rebuilding appropriately. As that piece of it began working properly, and I'd spent months and many months actually learning and working with it with other clients, we started seeing things I couldn't solve just by turning on the lights. And it seemed like, for me, God would always provide 3 or more individuals with similar challenges, and he was guiding the discovery process, because I'd have to discover it in one and then have to hone it a little bit in several others. And this process of learning one piece at a time, repeated with 3 or more people coming with another new challenge that taught the next new principle. And so for about 6 years of client meetings, we would have prayer, learn something new, work it with for a month or two till it was completely honed in and working properly, and then God would teach the next pieces. And so over the course of 6 years with hundreds of clients and being guided by God, I saw a repeating flow that was consistent and organized it into what I now call the 7-step restoration process, because it includes all the pieces that are common to all people. It doesn't include all the pieces that you'll learn in the process, because some people have individual issues that we've documented and that are in the Body Temple Stewardship training, but it's not in that initial 7-step process. So I want to introduce the 7 steps plus the rebuild steps that I call the 8 core steps you'll master to restore your body to God's perfect design. Step number 1, as we've mentioned, and it was revealed first, and it is for almost all people still the first step. That is to restore the light of Christ to every body function and ensure that every area of your body has the light of Christ and is able to repair properly. We actually check about 89 body functions, glands, organs, systems, brain functions, and so forth, and then 15 filters that filter energy that hadn't been documented anywhere prior to that. That was new to me. Hundreds of books read, master in herbal studies with all the anatomy and physiology classes, and I'd never heard of these 15 filters. And so we check them. We also clear any blocks or heavy metals that would click the light or block the light from staying on, or turn that system back off again. And just a little visualization, a dark room cannot be properly cleaned or repaired. And a dark space in our body cannot be properly cleaned or repaired. So first we turn the lights on, and then you can repair that area. And in the process, we actually turn those lights on as we find the ones that are off. So we have the spirit-led body discernment process that some people call muscle testing, helping us find what's off, and then we restore it to on. The second step, or the second documented step, is to return everything to the original blueprint where it's not at a blueprint that works 100%. So we identify where the body has an imperfect blueprint and restore it to God's perfect blueprint. So we all inherited a blueprint from mom and dad. And in my case, mom's blueprint and dad's blueprint on blood sugar was slightly damaged, and I ended up getting the most damaged. None of my siblings had as much damage in blood sugar regulation as I did. But in all of us, I found that on average, we have 5 to 10% of our areas that are damaged. And we replace that with God's perfect blueprint. We just command the body to replace that damaged part of the blueprint with God's perfect blueprint. So we're repairing to a perfect blueprint instead of repairing to a damaged blueprint. And we ask the body to replace it and it's obedient, and it replaces it with the backup original blueprint. Step number 3, we reset key body program settings. There's about 20 foundational settings that we came from God at 100%. And then life and challenges or abuse or accidents or medical procedures or whatever, drop them. I'll mention a few of them, not all. Some of the settings we restore to 100% are: I am loved and I am wanted. I am safe. I am open to abundance. I am successful. I am thankful. I trust God and I trust others. Failure is fun. In other words, we're learning from everything. I make my own choices. I'm grateful. I have confidence in my boundaries. I have emotional security. I'm willing to change. My gut feeling of optimism is fully present. My gut and my heart and my brain connection is completely connected. My external validation does not come from others, but from God, and so forth. There's a few others that we actually work on, but it's amazing to me how rapidly some things change for people once they reset those to 100%. And in most cases that I see, all of them are below 50%. And for some people, they're down in the single digits or the teens. For some of them, and it really makes it hard to function when we're that low in those settings. I compare it to a cell phone or a computer setting. If you've had a child borrow a cell phone or a grandchild borrow a cell phone and make it work for them, and then you get it back and it doesn't work for you at all, well, that's kind of the settings. We want them to be God's design. We don't want them to be where we've decided to put them because of a traumatic event or something like that. Step number 4 is relatively easy. We just clear our mental and emotional filters. We remove mental or emotional interference or programming that affects how the body is able to be obedient to the spirit. Step number 5 is critically important for some people, and there's 2 steps to it. First, we ensure the body is fully aligned with the spirit. In a very few cases, I've had clients who have had a traumatic event or trauma or an accident or something. The body got shook out of alignment with the body. The spirit got shook out of alignment with the body, and then it didn't get aligned perfectly again. And so what we've got is we've got a spirit that's out of alignment and constantly in pain. Because things aren't aligned. And just asking it to line back up again in those cases is extremely valuable. That is only maybe a fraction of a percent that is that way. And then the second piece of that is we ask the spirit to use the full body capacity. And I have not met anyone yet that the spirit was actually inhabiting or using full capacity, but it does very quickly after we invite it to. Step number 6. We invite 5 areas to work or function at 100%, 5 areas of overall function: heart, mind, body, and spirit, and our eternal self. And then we ask it to support everything by working in harmony with each other. And step number 7, we check the setting of every body process to make sure it's set to function at 100%. And then we ask it to function at 100%. For most of us, there's only a few settings that aren't set to 100%, but if they aren't, we can guarantee they're not going to function at 100% if they're set at something different. It would be like looking at my cell phone and it's set to have a 20% illumination, and I'm trying to bump that visual so I can see what's on the screen up to 100%. Well, the setting's at 20%. I cannot get it above that. And so we're the same in all of our body processes and functions. And then daily, we ask it again to function at 100% until it is functioning at 100%. It's a principle that God taught in Abraham chapter 4, verse 18. And the gods watched those things which they had ordered or commanded until they obeyed. And so we continue to request, ask, watch until it's fully obedient, and then we thank it for being obedient. And if you want to see examples of that ordering until it's obeyed in Abraham 4, verse 7, 9, 10, and 12, also have a variation of that. And since we are children of God, you inherited the ability to create with your words. Your words actually create a healthier body. And your body is always obedient to that as long as there's not blocks that we've put in place or inherited blocks have been put in place that limit that obedience. And so you learned how to do all of it to make it work fully and properly. After all of those are together and it's designed according to God's design, step 8 is actually the rebuild process. And so that once all the light is restored and the rebuilding is identified, it goes faster and smoother and is effective. All of your efforts at exercising and taking the right herbs and getting the right nutrition are now more effective, and they take care of themselves, if you will. Many people, in fact, all of us, it seems, try to rebuild because that's what we've been trained to do. Use herbs, use nutrition, use exercise, use a whole host of different things, but the lights are off and they can't repair properly. Once the lights are on and the settings are correct, then the repair process actually goes extremely fast compared to the old process. My own example, 25 years of trying to repair things and 25 years of taking herbs and learning about nutrition and those kinds of things, and no real progress. Things kept functioning, but they didn't finish healing. Once I learned this with clients in this process, everything is now restored. Now in my late 60s, I am having no challenge at keeping the body working properly and full energy every day. And I'm not taking any supplements now because everything is working properly. Any supplements are very brief. They're a day or two. They're just enough to clean out whatever toxins came in or restore something back to full function again. And so it's extremely powerful to do things first with Body Temple Stewardship and then learn the principles of herbal and nutritional that support that consistently. So 13 years later, tying this back together, having been taught by God how to help myself and clients solve whatever individual challenges are presented, you can take care of yourself. So the Body Temple Stewardship Course teaches how to take care of the stewardship of your body and your loved ones. And you continue learning in the process. And now you're 100% in charge of your body temple stewardship. And that is the power really of this whole thing, is that you are fully in charge of you. You're not dependent on someone else to take care of you and how it goes. And so just the beauty of Body Temple Stewardship and you being able to take care of yourself and the ones that you want to help is fully available now. How do you learn more so that you can get clear through the 7-step process and have everything working perfectly well so your body repairs? You can learn more at thewholesomelife.info/courses. That is thewholesomelife.info on the courses tab. Or if you'd like to have someone walk you through the process, in other words, support you all the way through getting your lights turned on and all 7 steps done, you can schedule that by going to the coaching tab, thewholesomelife.info/coaching, and look for the one that has the full body temple reset. Or if you just need help with a few things and you're going through the course, you'll find places to ask for that help on the coaching tab also. I know that you'll do well in your journey for wellness, and we wish you very well as you go through the process of continuing to learn.